Beth, you're up again. It seems you have more questions already. I thought you were going to list them all down and send them to us.
It's just one. It's about marriage and ceremonies. How would a Islamic wedding work? Like ceremonies and things. Like, is there like a structure to it? So obviously you meet them, you see if they get accepted to like. Does that make sense?
I mean, once again, we don't follow what you would call the mainstream Islam. Okay, so I don't know how much research you've done to date. I mean, have you read our book, by the way?
I haven't. I got your book. No, I wouldn't know where to find it, to be honest.
Really? Okay. Have you heard of our website?
Your website, yes.
Yeah, if you go on the website, it should be there for download by PDF. The Ahmadi Religion of Peace and Light.
Okay. I may go and have a look at that.
If you go on there, you will find a page which has a lot of the books that pertain to our religion. There's one that mentions about the true nature of monotheism, which is to understand what we believe, that God always has a messenger and that God is absolute. And there are many references in that book to different religions, so that's quite interesting. We also have the Goal of the Wise, which is the seminal gospel of Abu Sadiq, which I dare say has been banned in many Muslim countries, which obviously would confuse some people. And that's because we say the hijab is not obligatory. You know, you imagine in Malaysia or somewhere like that, and you say that, they deem that heretical, and they claim to be Islamic. You see what I mean? So we do not follow the mainstream in that sense. We declare that the true Kaaba is in Petra, not in Mecca. We say that drinking alcohol is not forbidden. So we are not Islamic in the true sense that people perceive today, because we believe actually that they are heretical if they don't follow the true teachings that are clearly mentioned in the scriptures. So we wouldn't say that we perform Islamic marriages as much as we don't perform marriages of any specific way except for what we deem to be correct, you know?
Because
so the Goal of the Wise basically is a book I'd recommend you look for, first of all, which is on the website.
Because I was just going to ask
you can even put that in a Google search and it should bring up the book.
I shall do, but the question is, like, you know, when you become like an Islam, you should know all of like the Quran, right?
But we don't, this is the whole point, we don't follow Islam in the sense that people perceive. Islam means submission to God. So if you're in submission to God, you could be a Christian, a Jew, a Buddhist, a Hindu, and you can seek the right path. You know, we're saying that all religions in their true essence are true. Meaning Siddhartha Gautama, who introduced Buddhism, was a messenger of God, as Lao Tzu was, who introduced Taoism, you know? So you know, like, what I mean?
How would in your religion, how would the weddings one? Would you like get accepted to marry, and then would you go through the families? Like, is there like a specific way you do it?
Many people choose their partner before they come into the religion. Many people have joined the religion as a married couple. So, you know, that's up to them who they choose. We just encourage people to choose people who want to follow the faith, because obviously if you choose someone that doesn't, it's going to bring in conflict and you're going to end up having some disputes most likely. So it makes sense to find someone who believes in the same faith as you before you start.
But like, when you get married, how does it work? Like, in the traditional way, like in the English way, you would find a white dress, you would like go to like a place that you can pick.
You can have a humanist reception in the English society. You can have a church wedding. Yeah, of course, I'm very familiar with that as a British citizen. But in our religion, it's entirely up to you. You know, there's no ceremony whereby you have to do it in a certain way. The only important thing is that in your heart, you come together for the sake of goodness and God, and you want to have a union like that, and you want to raise a family for the sake of God and His kingdom, you know, and
when you say
bring children up in a moral fashion.
Like, don't take this the wrong way. You say the sake of God. So if you didn't have God there, would you still go to that person and think, oh yeah, you're my soulmate, we can still get married, like we still have a connection? Or would you just do it for God? Does that make sense? Have I got that completely wrong? Does that
I
make
mean,
sense?
basically, we believe in the soul world. We believe that there is a soul connection. So we believe that you can potentially have your soul partner, and we believe that it's beneficial to marry someone who you have that connection with. But in all likelihood, to have a soul would imply that there's a God above that put that soul in your body. Where does that soul come from? So then you get into a philosophical discussion about that. But anyone that believes in a soul, in my mind, is probably believing in a God. So that's all goodness. There's no harm in that. There's
Because
nothing
to
wrong with
me,
that. That's a
like,
good thing.
my partner, I see him as like the person I'm going to be with for life, and not because of the soul, but like because we get along and we have a connection, etc., etc. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Good.
does that make
Well,
sense?
there's no harm in that. And once again, I'm not here to judge your beliefs or tell you it's wrong or right. But we believe inherently that it's good to come together, with a soul partner as well. But ultimately, we choose people who've come from all different backgrounds. Some people are married to former Buddhists, former Hindus, former atheists. But if we come together as a community, it makes sense if we're unified in our belief of our king. But at the same time, if people come from a different background, they're acceptable within our community. It's said in the teachings of Abba Sadiq, that Jews and Christians can enter into our faith anyway, believers in the book, and they will honor their own laws. So if you believe in Jesus and say you do, then obviously you should hold fast to the teachings and the laws that he puts down. And then that's okay in our community.
So if to say like you were to get married with someone who is on the inside of like Webb House and the religion, so in your ceremony with this person that you get married to, like, is it you get a suit? Is it you get like you both get dressed up and you go, or is it like a one-on-one thing where you go?
Depends. You might do it. You might not. You might do. You might not. It just depends on the timing and the circumstance and everything. There's no. I guess what I'm trying to say is there's no conditions on it. There's no obligations and symbols that you have to adhere to make that a functional wedding. The main ingredient is that you come together in accept matrimony between one another, as much as you would under any church wedding, where you declare that you will honor your partner in life and till death, in health and in wealth and in that kind of thing.
So can I just ask, like, when like in obviously the British ways of getting married and things, so you have like a person who's standing up there saying I can't remember what the wordings are, but like you say I do at the end, and the person who reads it out says all the different things. In your religion, do you have someone who does that? So like, does that make sense? So do you have someone who...
Yeah, of course. You're saying, do you have a vicar or a priest to sanctify the marriage?
Yeah, I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah, I mean, to sanctify, of course, everyone would have a vicar or we have bishops in our religion, like any other religion. If you go on our website, again, you'll find that we have a bishop for different nations. We have a bishop of Thailand, a bishop of Malaysia, a bishop of Iran. And so obviously they could proceed to help people come into matrimony and provide them with the the opportunity for that. But then people are given free volition to choose who they want to marry or not. You don't have to be married to be part of our religion, and you don't have to. You can choose who you want to marry for yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm not like saying that. I'm not coming to judge you on that. I was just mainly interested because I didn't know if there was like different ways of getting married, if that makes sense. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's so ceremonial as it would be perhaps in Western culture. I don't think it's like that at the moment. And, even in Islam...
When you say Western culture, what do you mean by Western culture?
I mean, from my experience, when people have church weddings, there's a lot of ceremony that takes place, which I'm not saying is a good or a bad thing. It is the way it is. People, as you described yourself, they have a wedding dress, they have a big celebration in the church, and whatever they tend to do afterwards, as everybody knows. So it's just not exactly like that. but it, as I said, it doesn't follow a set pattern, so it's not really something that's worth mentioning, in the sense there's not really a ceremony to talk about. If there was something elaborate that took place, I would let you know about it. There's nothing to be shy of in that regard, but there isn't. So it's not really a significant matter in that point.
Because, as well, I thought sometimes you'd maybe have like an in-man or something. Or what happens if you get together and one of your families don't agree with you getting married? Like, how would that work?
Well, it's like any relationship, isn't it? I mean, you know, in British culture, again, or Christian culture, whatever it might be, there are some cases where people don't like it in a family. So it's up to you, you know, as an individual, whether you still proceed with that, or you lean on the understanding of your parents, depending on what kind of relationships you have. It's a free will again, you know. Once you're a consenting adult, you can make decisions for yourself. You're not beholden to what your parents think. And there are many relationships in British society, from my experience, where the parents are not happy about it per se. But what do you do about that? You know, you either decide to go ahead or not.
Do you guys follow, is it the Piece of Paradise? Is that it? I'm sure there's something that I seen earlier, because I was looking, I was interested, so I was looking, and it's called the Piece of Paradise, and it was section 13 of the marriage, the marriage thing. If you, I don't know if you got.
Where are you getting this information from?
I can get it up. Would you like me to?
But is it connected to the teachings of Abu Sadiq and the Ahmadi religion of peace and light?
No, it's not. I just had it up. Let me see if I can get it.
Are you sure this isn't coming from some Islamic teachings, per se?
Potentially. As I said, I'm not really that clued up.
We don't follow Islamic teachings. This is the whole point of the mainstream.
So in yours, you do follow some, but not all. Is that what you're saying?
We follow the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and we believe he came with a covenant, like Jesus came with a covenant. And if you read the first 7 chapters of our book, it kind of makes it clear, and that today there is a new covenant with mankind, and that covenant comes with the successors, and that changes the law slightly. So it says that the messenger today comes with a new book, a new jurisprudence, which means different laws. The new book, obviously, we've got the Goal of the Wise, and therefore it's slightly distinct. Like at the time of Jesus, they were encouraged monogamy. At the time of Moses, they had polygamy. So it just depends on different covenants. And today Abu Sadiq is introducing another covenant. And so, therefore, the laws change slightly. So if you're referring in a book that you've been reading from Islam, I'm sure it's pertaining more to the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, which are distinct from the teachings today of Abu Sadiq. You see what I mean?
Yeah, so that's another thing I was actually going to ask you about, is the I can't say the word, but polyamory. How do you guys interpret that into your religion? Do you guys interpret it into your religion?
Not so much. We focus predominantly on monogamy. Abu Sadiq is a prime example. He has one wife, as many people know, and he has his children. So, you know, he's a prime example for us. But the best thing to do, once again, is to go to the book, which will explain more of those teachings for you. But it is distinct from mainstream Islam, as I've explained, because Prophet Muhammad had a different covenant that he introduced. So if you're taking from those teachings, it won't be explicitly correct in terms of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and as well, you don't have to answer this, and don't feel pressured and things. But obviously, I say about I can't say the word. You know what I mean? And
polygamy. What does polygamy mean? It just means multiple marriages. Like in Islam, they would say that a man can have 4 wives. In Judaism, a man could have multiple wives. In Christianity, only one. That teaching changed depending on the circumstances of the community at the time. They say at the time of Prophet Muhammad, it was mainly connected to the fact that there were many wars and there were many people killed, and there was more women than men, or there were more widows, and so it was mainly to protect the women and to offer them support.
Because
so, it varies throughout history.
So I was gonna say, like, as I said, don't feel pressure to answer this question. Like, this is like, I don't know if this is in your religion or this is hypothetical. I'm not too sure how it works in your religion, but if a male wanted to marry or seen like a soulmate or whatever in another male, or vice versa, female to female, how would that be in the religion? Like, if two males wanted to get married, or get her off now. Bro, I'm asking questions and he's gone. Literally gone.
Yeah, sorry. I got a message.
How would two, like, same genders in your religion work? So if a male wanted to marry a male, woman to woman, how would that work in religion?
I don't have a precedent for that. I don't have that information. I don't know. And I think there's a lot of things that would need to be clarified. But ultimately, I think the best thing to do to really explain it in more detail, especially to refer to the words of Abba Sadiq rather than my interpretation, is to go and read some of the Golden Wise. It seems that you have a lot of questions. Initially, you said you're coming up for one question. So I would suggest go back to the book. Have a look at the book.
Because we're going on marriages,
bit, and then come back to me, and then we can discuss it further
that's
again.
What I wanted to
but
ask.
Ultimately, pardon?
Because that's what I was going to say. Like I said about marriages, and this is all along the same thing. So the marriage thing, you seem to know a lot on like male to women marriages, but now I'm asking you about the same-sex marriages.
I don't have that. I don't know much about that kind of thing, to be honest. It's not something I'm familiar with. I mean, I'm not a jurisprudent of the religion anyway, so it doesn't make sense to ask me, and expect me to know every detail about all aspects of our religion.
I'm not asking you to know every.
That is not who I am.
I'm not asking you to know every detail. I was just asking because if you know,
I don't know. I'm not going to say if I don't know about something. I'm not going to insinuate or imply anything. So yeah, by all means, you can go on one of the other lives, and perhaps someone has more knowledge about that than I do, or you can go to the website and read some of the. So
in the book, like on your website, does it mention same-sex marriages on the book?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think it delves into that aspect. And also, we know that Abba Sadiq hasn't revealed the full reality of our religion yet. It's still unfolding. The whole covenant is still unfolding in terms of the laws that are being released about it and the knowledge that pertains to it. But when a question pops up, there's no harm in asking about that, and we can always bring that forward to Abba Sadiq in the future.
So if you went to your leader and asked him about same-sex marriages,
yeah,
do you think that would dwell down well, or do you reckon it wouldn't go too well? Because obviously, I know everyone has different.
I mean, it's not something I've done before, so I cannot answer that. These are very, as I say, I don't want to get into hypothetical questions. So, if you've got something else you want to ask, that's fine. But I'm not going down a route of hypothetical things.
No, it's just more about the same
right now. Do you know what I mean?
What is your thoughts on same-sex marriages? Do you think it's okay? Do you think it's not okay? Do you think?
Yeah, I really don't want to go down this route either, because it's not something that I'm involved in. And I don't want to make comments pertaining to it in conjunction with the religion. But I would suggest the best thing you can do, you can send us a question to our outreach team, or to me. You've got my contact now, and we can always ask for you and get more clarity on that, because I don't want to give you wrong information. That's the bottom line on this. If you've got any other questions, we can move on with that. Otherwise,
same-sex
come
marriages.
back to me at any time and ask me any other questions you might have about the religion.
Did you have any thoughts on same-sex marriages before you went into the religion to now, or have you never had it
Not really, because I'm a heterosexual person, so it doesn't really crossed my mind. I'm an open-minded person, so it's not something I would have come across or thought about much in my life. It's not important to me to discuss these things, you know what I mean? And plus, it's not something I have a deep knowledge on. So once again, if you haven't got another point you want to raise, it's probably better to ask a question, private message us, and we can get back to you on that. That's absolutely fine. And we do that from time to time. Like before, I've answered many of your questions, but I'm not going to answer a question I don't have clear understanding on.
No, but I would like some sort of answer of how it would be on, like, within your religion. Is there any people in your religion?
Then send me a message and I'll get back to you. I'll do my best, I promise you.
Is there any people in your religion, as of right now in Webb House, in a same-sex relationship? Do you know everybody in there, or?
Not everybody, so I wouldn't have all that information. But once again, you can message me on that subject. That's no trouble, and we can get back to you on that.
Who would you go to when you're out? Like, if I was to message you that question.
We have an outreach team. So the outreach team, they are able to liaise directly and get answers to certain questions as and when. And also, Abba Sadiq releases knowledge depending on certain circumstances that come up in society.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I don't see how, if you go to the outreach team and ask them the question of the same-sex marriages, etc., how that would, because I'm asking you for your view, I'm not asking for their view. So, like, so if you go to them, who will they go to?
I don't really have any comment on this, and it's not something I've really thought about much. So, as I say, Beth, if we're going to go around in circles here, we can
Who would the outreach team
discuss
go to?
Again on another occasion. But I appreciate your call.
Who would the outreach team go to? Who would they go to? The outreach team. Who would they go to?
Of course, they would get in contact with some of the bishops of the religion, perhaps, or Abba Sadiq himself, and then it's up to him how he responds to these questions.
So Abba Sadiq, is that your actual higher leader? You're the person who you.
So basically, what we believe, that's why once again I encourage you to read the book a little bit. You know, you don't have to read it all, but at least read some of the opening chapters. You know, because it's very clear in there that in every age there is a queen bee, a monarch, you know, that rules over society, that helps manage the affairs of the people, that is inspired by God. So obviously that person then is able best to understand and explain what God wants from the people and how God encourages people to live in a harmonious way. So, of course, ultimately, he is the, as it says here, a divine king, as you can see on the background.
Another question is, if you ever need support in that religion, who would you go to? Do you have someone who you would go to as of now?
What do you mean by support?
Like, if you ever had, like, inquiries or, like, support of how you're feeling, like, would you go to someone?
I mean, we're friends. How would you do it in your life? You know what I mean? Would you turn to your friends? Would you turn to your family? It's the same thing.
Like, so say you needed, help with your mental health, or, like, not just mental health or physical health, who would you go to in your religion? Like,
probably go to a doctor. I mean, what else would you do? You go to a doctor, and obviously people go to doctors outside of the community. It's absolutely fine. We operate in many different ways. You don't have to just stay inside the community compound, as you know. So obviously we visit health clinics and we are members of the wider community. So that would be in terms of health, in terms of your well-being. That's why we have festivals. That's why we have events. That's why we have friendship groups. That's why we like to share in all things, so we get to know one another. And if we have a problem or we have a disagreement, we resolve it like that. I mean, like any community would. I mean, how would you resolve your disagreements, and how would you support one another in your?
Because I didn't know if it was like, if you have certain ways in your religion that you do things. Because some people go by like different things, don't they? Like different ways. I'm just interested, like nothing more. Just and the robo dog as well.
It's fine.
You know,
it's absolutely fine to ask these questions, and it's important to know how do we operate, you know, as a community. But fundamentally, it really is just like regular human beings.
Yeah.
We have friendship groups, and I have certain people that I'm closer to than others, and I would turn to them if I have any concerns or disagreements, and we would resolve them like that. Or if we just want to have a fun time and kick a ball around that we do in our community, or watch a movie together. I mean, we're just like everybody else in that regard. And you go to any community, like a Christian community, a Jewish community, and I'm sure they'd answer that in a very similar way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As well, you know the Robo Dog? Is that just for extra security, or is that like to scan people in and out so they're not on top of your screen?
This is something that operates through the Justice Department. I don't get involved in security issues. I'm not, as I said to you before, I'm not working in that department, so it's not something I'm wanting to comment on. I don't like to comment on something that is not connected to what I do on a day-to-day basis, and I don't know the ins and outs of it. I don't know everything that takes place. As I say, I have
I get that.
some knowledge, but I don't know everything that goes on. Like in any society, I don't know, like how a CEO chooses to do what he does in a society.
Because I would have thought, and obviously I know you're not in technology and things, but you have.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm actually. That's a good point. I'm a bit of a dinosaur of technology, so I don't even know how a lot of technical things operate.
Because I know that you said. Because do you know that there's security outside? Obviously, I would assume so, wouldn't you?
Pardon?
There's security, like guards outside, like protecting. I just didn't know if it was like an extra form of security to if they're not fully with it, if the Robo Dog kind of comes out and watches people.
As I say, no comment. I don't know. As I said, I don't know how it functions. I don't know the features and benefits, so it's not beneficial to ask me a question like that. And if you have, as you said, you've got a series of questions that if I can't necessarily answer, you're more welcome to message me, and I can try and get answers for you in a more clear way.
Yeah, that would be great.
But I'm not going to give you speculative comments in response if I don't know. If you ask me direct questions that I can answer, I will do. I promise you.
Which you already have, which is, respectful, and I appreciate. Is your outreach team on 24/7, that you can see? Or are they set weekends, they don't work on weekends and things?
I mean, it depends. Again, if we're having a festival day, then most likely they're going to be enjoying that day and won't be so available. Everything is subjective to the situation at the time.
So if I was to message you,
mostly members of the outreach would be available a lot of the time for people to support and guide.
So if I come off live
once again, any religion that has a bishop, if you go to your local church, the vicar's available at certain times, isn't he? And other times he's with his family. It's pretty normal.
Yeah, so if I came off and messaged you the questions now, which I'm going to jump down in a second because you've been respectful or whatnot, how long do you reckon it would take you to get back to me with the answers?
Once again, it's like anything. I'm not going to give you a timeline in case those people are extremely busy. All I can do is endeavor to get you the answers as quick as I can. And that is the truth, I promise you.
Because obviously,
but I can't guarantee a timeline because I don't want to give you a false promise.
No, which is fine. But obviously, I know that you can't, your leader, I can't see his name. What's his name, sorry?
Abdullah Hashim. Yeah. Abdullah Hashim Abba al-Sadiq is the leader of our faith, and we believe, as I said to you before, that he is in the succession of the prophets and messengers, and therefore he comes as a representative for God in this time, and he comes to know the best way to bring justice and to bring peace to the earth. So we believe that's a very important thing, to find that individual. And that's who he is.
So with the outreach team, obviously they're not going to be able to get a hold of him because he's not allowed a phone and whatnot now, is he? Who would the answers come from? Is that a second higher up person that maybe you would the one underneath him?
I don't know. Once again, I don't have all the details for you, but the main thing is, as you said, you're going to send the questions in, and we're going to do our best to get you those answers from the religion. Which representative they choose to get the information from, whether it's a bishop here or a bishop there, I don't know. As I say, I'm not going to speculate on things I don't know.
which is understandable. So I'll drop down now. Thank you for answering my questions. I hope they were
Thank you,
respectful.
Beth.
Not.
No trouble, and hopefully we'll speak again sometime soon. You have a great
I
day.
shall message you them questions. Yeah.
No trouble entirely.
All right.
Speak again soon.
Perfect. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
God bless.
Thanks for being respectful. Bye bye.
So that's Beth, and she's been on the live a few times now, and yes, she is asking questions in a respectful way. She's seeking clarity on some questions that she has, and there's no harm in raising questions, and we will always do our best to answer them.